sure, there is no question that the decisions that will be made over the next few months will have a profound impact on you and your farming operations. This is a crucial time in the history of agriculture in Western Canada. Before I outline tonight's agenda, I would like to recognize a number of individuals in the audience tonight. And it's quite possible that some people may be walking in late or that I may have missed someone. So I would hope that somebody then will get a note up to me and we'll make sure that we recognize you throughout the evening. First of all, we have Rachel Notley, MLA from Edmonton, Strathcona. Welcome. Hugh McDonald, MLA for Edmonton Gold Bar. Welcome. We also have Terry Bay, President of the National Farmers Union. And I will introduce our elected directors at the front, but I also want to recognize Ken Machouk, an appointed director with the Canadian Wheat Board from Mundare. Welcome, Ken. I also wanted to make a note. Someone said to me that we should thank a number of farmers tonight who were bringing large trucks in to help with a variety of displays. Jim Augustine, Dave Johnson, Andrew Dennis, Trevor Reguer, and Graham Jardine. Thank you. With me this evening is some of our elected directors, starting with Ellen Oberg, who's chair of the Canadian Wheat Board, who's from Forestburg. On my far left is Jeff Nielsen, elected director for District 2 from Olds, Alberta. Bill Woods, elected director from Eston, Saskatchewan, District 4. And Cam Goff, District 6, elected director from Hanley, Saskatchewan. For the first part of our meeting, we're going to feature a couple of the directors and our Vice President of Marketing and Sales who's with us this evening. And they will be telling you what's been happening over the last few months and speak to some of the impacts of dismantling the single desk. They will speak to you about what is really at stake. The second half of the meeting will be an opportunity for you to ask questions of your directors or make comments. And we know that there's more than one viewpoint in the crowd, that there are a number of opinions, and it is important that everyone be given the opportunity to express their opinion, comment or question. We will be limiting your comments or questions to 2 minutes because there is a large group here tonight and it is important that everyone be given an opportunity. I also want to point out that the directors will be here following the adjournment of the meeting, so you are certainly welcome to stay and continue with the conversation. I would now like to call on Bill Woods to come to the podium, who's going to speak about setting the scene.
Where's my technical man for getting the presentation started? Oh, yeah, my technical person. So with the doors being opened over here, I think maybe I'll read some of the quotes because I don't you'll be able to read them from that angle there. So you can't? Okay, is that better? Is that better? Okay. Well, on behalf of the elected board of directors, welcome everyone. What a great crowd. We've had several of these meetings, and the crowds have varied between, I guess you could say, between 300 and 500. We think it's very important that you have a chance to discuss these issues with us face to face. I'm going to begin with a brief overview of the last few months in order to sort of set the scene for tonight's discussion. Now, see if I can figure out how to run this. What? Inside?
You got to turn it on.
No? Having no luck there. Figured it out. This thing needs auto steer. Okay, to begin with what the Wheat Board Act says. This is our starting point. What the Wheat Board Act says is, it's on the screen. The Wheat Board Act is the law that governs the Wheat Board. It establishes the authority of a board of directors that is made up primarily of farmers elected by other farmers. It lays out a process for adding or removing grains from the Wheat Board's mandate to market grain through a single desk. The Act is the legal basis for the board of directors' belief that it's up to farmers to decide the future of the single desk. It's not just the board of directors that feels this way. According to our annual producer survey, an overwhelming majority of prairie farmers believe that decisions about the future of the single desk belong with farmers. And of course, the Act says the minister has no grain can be added or removed from the single desk unless the minister has consulted with the Wheat Board of Directors, and producers of the grain have voted in favor of the exclusion or the extension of those grains. Now, for a while, it seemed that Minister Ritz also believed that farmers have the right to make a democratic decision about the future of their wheat board. The first quote on the screen is what Minister Ritz was telling farmers prior to the recent federal election. And the quote is, "Until farmers make that change, I'm not prepared to work arbitrarily. They're absolutely right to believe in democracy. I do too." That was a quote in the Manitoba Cooperator. Now, after the election, as you can see from the bottom quote, he changed his tune. At that time, he said, "We already did that. It's called a general election." And that was on May the 4th after the election. Now, I disagree with this new tune of Minister Ritz's. I don't think that cab drivers, school teachers, and plumbers should decide the future of the Canadian Wheat Board. A general election must not supersede a farmer plebiscite. When Minister Ritz started to speak publicly about having a mandate to get rid of the single desk, a lot of farmers that I know in my area responded, "Wait a minute, I voted Conservative, but not because of the single desk issue. I knew the law guaranteed us a plebiscite. And besides, Minister Ritz himself said we had a right to make this decision democratically." Now, on May the 31st, which is about a month after the election, Minister Ritz made a very brief visit to the Wheat Board. And he did not meet with the Board of Directors, he met with the Chairman and the CEO. He advised the Wheat Board that the government intended to remove the single desk for wheat and barley as of August the 1st, 2012. He said it was up to the Wheat Board to create a new model for a wheat board without a single desk. He laid out a timeline. The Wheat Board must produce a model for a new entity by the end of July. Ag Canada would provide a memo to Cabinet by early September. A Wheat Board bill would be introduced early in the fall session. That was the timeline. The Minister's comments on financing for a new entity to replace the Wheat Board gives you an idea of how little importance he attaches to creating this strong and viable, those are his words, strong and viable entity that we keep hearing about so much. And his comments on this financing, something in the short term, absolutely. But we're not here to make sure the entity survives in perpetuity. by the end of this session, I'll have this clicker figured out. Okay, the importance of a plebiscite. Your board of directors repeatedly urged the government to abide by the law and hold a plebiscite. In Manitoba, the provincial government launched a petition urging the federal government to abide by the law and conduct a plebiscite. Your board of directors decided to launch its own petition on June 16th. And part of the wording is on the screen, and I believe they have other petitions in at the back of the room. I think there were some at the front desk. But the petition has the heading, "We the Undersigned support the right of farmers to decide the future of the grain marketing organization through a plebiscite." Any farmer or concerned citizen is welcome to endorse that petition. June 28th of 2011. On June 28th, your board of directors announces prairie farmers will hold their own plebiscite because the government will not. 68,000 wheat and barley producers are to receive ballots. Eligibility, those with active permit books for the last 2 crop years, that's the 9-10 and the 10-11. Those who grew wheat and or barley in the last 5 years. The vote is administered by Myers Norris Henny. They are the accounting firm that conducted the wheat board director elections. Completed ballots are to be postmarked by August 24th, which is, I guess that's about 8 days away. Exercising your right to vote. Now, here are the ballot questions. I hope they're familiar to you.
We are going to take a couple of questions at this point before we move to the next presenter. So I think we're going to set up a second microphone, but we have microphone 1 and 2 here. So if anyone would like to have a question or comment, and again, if you could state your name and where you're from, and also remember, comments and questions we will limit to 2 minutes. Sir.
This is about the 3rd time I've ever come up to my.
You have to speak louder.
The agents with the AIS is about the 3rd time I've ever come up to my. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm up in Alberta. I'm a 4th generation farmer from Brookville, Manitoba. My name is Brad Jardine. I worked oil fields and admired this province from the years of 1978 to 86. My wife Heather, she couldn't come tonight, but she's holding down the fort at home. We still raise cattle, but on a smaller scale. We sold out our purebred herd in 2001, thank God, before BSE. My partner, Andrew Dennis, and I have come to the conclusion that the majority of the farmers support Canadian Wheat Board. Andrew and I are also agents for the Friends of the Canadian Wheat Board. A legal challenge before the courts. Did you fellas know that our present government wants the court case closed behind doors? Closed, not open to the public. We also feel it's going to take $75,000 to $100,000 per court case. We farmers have the present government on the ropes. We have not lost a single court case, and we're not going to lose this one. Like all court
Grant, your 2 minutes.
Okay, first question. Will Stuart Wells, Canadian Wheat Board Director, I'll direct this to Alan, debate Honorable David Anderson, or is the Honorable David Anderson chicken? Is David Anderson here?
Alan, do you want to respond?
I don't see David Anderson in the crowd, but I'd certainly be willing to have a discussion and debate with him.